Now, a lot of people have asked me why you need a generator if you already have a power station. Why would you spend money on a generator? And that's a fair question. But after all the years that I've had my off-grid cabin, the one thing that I can tell you is the sun just doesn't always cooperate. Solar panels are great to power up your power station if you actually have enough solar for it. What happens when you don't have any sun? It's cloudy. It's dark out. And let's face it, most people buy power stations today as a form of backup during a power outage. And when do power outages usually happen? During storm. Not a whole lot of solar production. And what if the next day, when the power station's now depleted, it's dark and cloudy and raining and you're just not going to get any solar production? Now, I already own 3 generators. I've got a big 6 kilowatt Generac EcoGen at the cabin. That's my backup there. And then I've also got a couple RV generators. One is in my camper. So with those 3, you would think, well, what do you need another generator for? But here's the thing. Those generators, at least the 2 that are almost portable, because that's another factor here, don't produce the kind of clean power that you really need for electronics. You need pure sine wave, and neither of those generators do that for me. So bearing that in mind, when Maxpeedingrods reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to review one of their generators, I thought, you know what, maybe I should try out one of these portable inverter generators that actually produces pure sine wave and just see how well it works. After all, lots of people have asked the question, why not just use one of these old style generators, or do I really need one, and what kind do I need? Here's the reality of off-grid living, off-grid cabins, or frankly just backing up your home during a big outage. And that is, again, that when the sun doesn't shine, solar panels aren't going to do you any good, and your power station is limited to the battery size that it has on board and or the extended batteries that you've added to it. And once those are depleted, you've got to have a way to get them charged back up, or you're dead in the water. You've got no power. Having a generator fills the bill here. It's kind of that 2 is 1 and 1 is none mentality. If you only have a power station, when it dies, you're done. You want to be able to move it around. So you want portable. That means that if you're going to get a generator, you also want a portable generator. It just sort of goes hand in hand. So when I looked at theirs and other similar generators like that, they usually weigh between 50 and 70 pounds, just like your power stations. Now, the first thing you'll notice about this generator is it's actually pretty small. It weighs under 60 pounds. With a full tank of gas, got a nice handle on top. It's easy to carry about. It's a pretty compact little package. You've got your standard layout. Now this one does have the 30 amp plug, plus your 120 amp plugs and 12 volt USB ports. So that's kind of nice because there's some versatility here. And it is a 4,000 watt generator. Now they do call it the 5,000 watt unit. That's because it will peak at 5,000 watts. And you'll see that a lot with these portable generators. They'll say it's 2,000 watts, but it's actually 1,600 sustainable, that kind of thing. It's really simple to set up. They give you everything you need except the oil and the fuel. You got to add those yourself, but they actually give you some tools with it. They give you a paralleling cable, and they give you even a funnel, which I got to tell you, when I went to add oil to it, my first thought before looking at all the tools they had was, it's going to be kind of tough to put some oil in there. I'm going to have to go find a funnel. And then I looked over and I went, oh, they gave you one. So that really made it easy to go ahead and put some oil in it. Now, the big one for me is that this is a pure sine wave generator. That's really important for sensitive electronics. And I got to tell you, my RV generator that I'm using in my camper, when I tried to charge up a power station with it, it kept tripping out. But that means that I couldn't really use that to charge up my power stations. That was a little frustrating for me. And then of course there's noise. I used to have a kind of one of those framed ones that doesn't have any noise reduction on it. And that thing was loud, folks. It was a 3,500 watt Champion that I bought at Harbor Freight, but it was really noisy. And when we tried to use it camping to run an air conditioner in a tent trailer we used to have, I mean, even if you put it 50 feet away, it droned. It was noisy and it was kind of obnoxious, and you really didn't want to run it in a campground. Now these are supposed to be something like 68 dB at 20 feet. I measured at about 10 feet from the generator and I actually got 70 dB. That's not bad. It's not terribly obnoxious. Now, I did actually test it from the road, which was over 50 feet away. And the truth is, I was getting about 51 dB, but here's the thing. There were some birds chirping away around me and across the street from me, and they were actually causing my sound meter to go up above 60 dB every time they chirped. And so I gave up trying to check it out there, but it was actually pretty quiet. At 50 dB, frankly, well, I talk louder than 50 dB, so it's really not that bad at all. And when I was in my house, I could barely hear it. In fact, when I was in my office working on editing a video while I was running my tests with this generator, there were times I wasn't even sure it was running, and I'd get up and go outside and make sure it still ran, because even though I kind of did a little bit of a break-in period before I put it through its big test, well, I couldn't hear it running, and I was just kind of worried. I wanted to make sure it was. Well, it was running just fine. It's just that I couldn't hear it from the house. And so I'm going to say right off the bat, it's not a stealth generator. People will hear you running it. But then again, if you're in the midst of an outage, your neighbors are probably running generators too, and this one is fairly quiet. Comparing that to another generator that was a 2,000 watt Predator, they were about the same noise level despite the difference in powers. The only time it actually seemed to get much louder than that was whenever it kicked on extra power, like to run my air conditioning in my camper. Then of course it would ramp up, but after it ramped up, it would settle back down, and it still wasn't running much over 70 dB at 10 feet away, so it really wasn't too bad at all, even driving over 1,000 watts. Now for charging my power station, I ran it to charge up my Dabson 2000L. I had it set to the max of 1,500 watts. It ran that without any issue at all. I didn't actually even notice the generator ramp up at all when it was doing it, and you're only running at about 25% capacity or a little bit over on the generator, so it was frankly just idling along. And I know that I could charge 2 or 3 power stations at the same time. This generator would do it. Now the thing about these generators are that they are pure sine wave, as I mentioned earlier. Modified sine wave generators are not good to charge up power stations. Essentially, it's dirty power. It can be very hard on electronics, so you do want pure sine wave for that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I compared it a little bit to the Predator 2000. That's a friend of mine's, and I gotta tell you, they're almost exactly the same size, and honestly, it looked to me like they were made in the same factory. They're very, very similar. The biggest differences, of course, is that the Predator is only 2,000 watts with a sustained 1,600 watt output versus a 5,000 watt generator with a 4,000 watt sustained output. That's the Maxpeedingrods. So it's more than double the power output than the same sized Predator that actually weighed the same. The only difference was the Predator didn't have a 30 amp plug because it's not powerful enough for that. But otherwise, they had all the same ports even just about. Now, a couple differences that I noticed right away. The Predator didn't have any doors to check your oil or change your oil or to change your air filter. So you had to kind of take the whole side of the case off, it appears, to do that. Whereas this unit, well, it's got the doors on the side. You just turn a knob, open them up, and you have full access there. And one thing about those doors, I did notice that the oil door on the Maxpeedingrods generator, it seemed kind of loose and it vibrated a bit when running. And I thought over an extended period of time, it's possible that that could come open. Is it a real issue? Not really. It's not one I'd worry a whole lot about. If I was concerned about it down the road, I could put some tape on it. It didn't come loose, but it's just something that I think is worth paying attention to. They are plastic. Will it come loose on you someday if you're running one over an extended period? It's possible. But I like that access, so I'd rather have a bit of a loose door that vibrates a little when it runs, though I didn't hear it vibrating, I could just see it, than having to take the whole side off the generator to get to the oil. I want to be able to check the oil when I go run a generator. I don't have to take it apart. And both of those generators started the same, vibrated the same, they sounded the same. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, I also looked at the Predator 2500 online. It's actually about $85 cheaper than this generator, but then you're half the power. Now, the Predator does have a fuel gauge on it, but frankly, I couldn't actually read it. So while the Maxpeedingrods does not, I don't know that it really matters. And before I run my generator, I'm just going to top it off anyway. So I don't know that that's a major negative of any kind. Maybe they could put one on the unit. I don't know that it's that important, frankly. Now let's talk about what you're actually paying for. I ran my camper in 80 to 88 degree weather. Started out at 80 degrees, ran up to 88 degrees. It was hot out. The camper was at 80 degrees inside. I set the generator out in the sun. Wasn't going to put it in the shade or anything, just set it in the sun. cranked it up, plugged in the camper, turned on my camper AC and let it run, cooling the camper down to 71 degrees. And I ran it like that for 4 hours without a single issue. The only thing that I noticed during that entire time is whenever my AC fired up, which it does not have a soft start, and it comes on hard, and it can peak pretty high. Then it would settle down to about 1100 watts. When it did that, I did notice one thing, and that is that there would be almost a pause in the air conditioning starting up. It would ramp up, and then it would kind of, almost like it would flicker a little bit, it would kind of lower and then continue. And at the same time, that's when the generator would kick on full bore and then dial back down, running it at 1100 watts. So it did that for 4 hours. It ran my air conditioning just fine, but it is something that I noticed. That may be something to consider if you're trying to run medical equipment or something like that, but I had no problem at all running my camper that way. Putting in a soft start would probably be a good thing on my camper. Seemed to do just fine. I had no issue with it. It's just something to bear in mind. Now, the thing to consider is that generator was running at about a 27% load while running my air conditioning. And I think this is why you really want to look at these slightly bigger generators rather than, say, a 2000 or 2500 watt one, because at 27% load, you're really not pushing that generator. It's just idling along. That means you're going to have lower noise, you're going to use less fuel, and you're really not pushing the generator at all. They run really well around that 25 to 30% range, versus if you were trying to run it on, say, a 2500 watt generator, you're going to be running at about 55% of the capacity. Well, now you're talking, it's getting up there a little bit. And they're just not as efficient. They're going to get a little louder. They're going to use more fuel. I could also charge up a power station at the same time. Just adding another 1000 or 1500 watts isn't going to shut that generator down. It's got the capacity to do that, and that's something I really like. That means I could also charge multiple power stations at the same time. From a dollar perspective, this generator runs $714, though I'm going to put a code down below to give you 10% off, so that's going to lower it quite a bit. And the 2500 watt Predator was $85 less. And when I give you that 10% code, you're going to be almost the same price. So double the capacity, almost the same price. That makes a big difference. It's going to save you a little money and give you a lot more capability. So there you have it, folks. I hope that helps somebody out. If it does, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, folks, I'm going to throw another video right over here for you to check out. Thanks for watching, folks. Time to get to work. The old Jarhead out.